What's up? All right. We in the game. Good morning, everybody. What's up, buds? Stud it. Give me 1 second. Bachu. Batu. What's wrong, buddy? Oh. Are you hungry again? Yeah. Hey, guys, what's up? Oh, Colt's getting a little hungry this morning, if you know what I mean. Hey, man, good to see everybody. Dude, let's go out and do what we do. Let's go out and do what we do. How's everybody doing? Heck yeah. Well, shit, man. Let's shred. Let's shred. Hey, so a couple things we want to be doing today. Let's dig in a little bit here. All right. So if you look at the overall market, we got a gap up here. We're into a little bit of a sweet spot in the market where we're strong and we're trending, but we are getting slightly overbought. And so the rate of ascent could probably slow down for a couple days. Some sideways action or even just like a one nasty candle day would really probably set up for some good setups. We're just in that sweet spot. I would be very, very careful, if you're on the day trading side, just going in like balls deep and chasing, a bunch of longs. And if you're swing trading, it's a good time to just tighten up a little bit of your stops, and, kind of scale out of a couple things because it's just been a huge run. Look, even when stocks like Intel are going like this and gapping up every day, it's like a time to just take a little bit of profits, a little bit of cheese off the table. It's been a fantastic market. Swing traders making probably all the damn money. Day traders making money. That's the thing with this, specific area of the market, just in that kind of Goldilocks zone, right? Where we're just trending higher and higher and higher. Now, let's see what happens in the next few days. We are nudging at the top of the Bollinger Bands. We're at 97 stochastic, so just that slight extension we're having right now. And that needs to work itself off. And, all these gaps are just not helping for the most part. It's like, so much of the moves are made on gaps, and then you have to digest them the first couple hours, and then you kind of ramp into the close, and that's been the pattern of late. If you look at these candles, notice where the market's closing every day. High of day, right? And so that's like the sign of a really, really strong market, because what happens is you kind of gap up, you fart around for the open, and then you start trending into the close, and you end up with this kind of good move. So just be mindful of, a little bit of a price structure change here. We may need to pull it today, and we'll see. But there's still a lot of good setups, but I am a little bit wary now when you start to see, right, like Apple, doing stuff like this, right? 10, 15% in a few days, then you gotta take a little bit off the table, right? So just got to keep that in mind. Raise up your stops, and also you want to keep all your mental capital fresh right now. Anyways, earnings season is coming, and the kickoff is always with Alcoa at 7:17. So next week, but usually the banks come the week before. So you're gonna have Citigroup. You got old Citigroup coming in, JP Morgan. These are not really things we trade, but they do impact kind of how the markets are moving around and stuff like that. So we'll keep an eye on these, and then old Alcoa will come in. And so let's be super mindful that there's going to be a chance here where we're going to have all sorts of fun things to trade. We don't necessarily, while the market is like this extended, need to come in hot today, per se, right? So let's just take a look at our earnings plays. Let's take a look at the gappers. Let's take a look and see what we got going on the news side of things. And then from there, like we'll kind of go into the watch list that I got for the mañanas. Armando, what up? Armando, my friend, how you doing? Cool, cool, cool. What are you watching, brother? Sweet. All right, let's get a look. Let's take a look at just kind of see if we got any good news plays going. Hey guys, by the way, I don't trade small caps, but there is a little bit of a bonanza going on in these bad boys right now. And it's been hot, it's been sexy. If you're trading these kind of turds, I mean, there's some life-changing action out here. You got to start in the pre-market though. So you got to wake up at the, butt crack of dawn to do it. But dude, there's some cool action going on over here. All right. Yeah, let's take a look and see if we got anything we can play. Yo, this Zap is amazing, but it's been moving on just gaps and then into the close. The name is like, awesome. Zap Electric Vehicles. Dude, that's a top 5 name right there. Beyond American Superconductor Corporation, this has got the second best name in the market. You can see you got this big breakout over here. Hey, buddy. To my guys, he's an eating frenzy. Just like his dad. Just like his dad. Good. Yeah, I don't know if we can do anything with this anything today on this, but let's keep an eye on this bad boy. We might be able to fade it later. Fury. Ooh, this is a blast from the past. This thing used to be $80 here. So Unicare, Huntington drug candidate, slows disease progression, updated trials. Now look, this chart is obviously Gennard, right? But you are remounting moving averages over here. You got yourself a decent enough spot to get this thing going. Like let's add this to the watch list. This is actually the reason I do this. This is probably not a pump and dump stock. And it's a turd, but if you look back, back in the day, we used to trade this a little bit, and it used to be $70, $80 as, multi-billion-dollar company. It just has been pummeled of recent. Every blue moon, when you get some of these biotech stocks that do this, what will often happen is, for a day, maybe more, you can get a little bit of juice on something like this. And so let's see, you've got room to the 200-day moving average on this. 43 million share float. It's a pretty low market cap. Once again, it used to be in the billions. And so, I'm more likely to trust something like this that's got like at least a little bit of a history of doing something. And then, let's see if this thing pulls back at the open or holds up. You might be able to get a little goose and a gander on that. And Nicola. So this one had the reverse split. So now it's starting to kind of push through, dude. Awesome push yesterday. And, you're on day 5 of the move here. Look, when these stocks do the reverse split, they just usually after about 5-6 days of, pop, they usually end up fizzling back out. Don't be surprised to see this thing right back at, $1, $2 and, a month or two. But for the moment, it's still got a little bit of momentum. Not my particular type of flavor on this, but the liquidity has been fine. If you got 14 million shares traded like after reverse split, that's pretty damn good. So you can keep trading something like this. I personally don't like this type of names. Number one, you're on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of the move. So whenever you gap up, if you have a gap up on a stock and you are on day 5 of the move, then you're in for such a just weird spot. So you got to be careful. Like we need to have a little bit more. All right. So let's take a pass on this bad boy. Old Beam Global, that was 7 days ago. Dude, this was another one from the COVID days. Another one from the COVID days that's just gone crazy. See, this is another one, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days in a row. Not my particular flavor on this. JMIA, junk, 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 junk. Dude, all these, even though Bitcoin's at 57,000, the crypto miners, the mid-level ones, not Mara, which is a big slut, but the rest of them have held up really well. Not only held up, but they've actually following through. And you're getting this again today, So you got BTBT. I think this one's probably a little bit, it's already up 25% last couple of days. Iron had a dump off today. Now it's kind of gapping up through it. Feels like a little bit of a reversal or shakeout candle on this one. Same thing with cores. I'm a little bit, you to me, these are almost like reversal candles on those two, but BTBT and some of the other ones look a little bit better. I wouldn't say reversal candle, but you just don't want to see it shaking out like that. Like you have this awesome pop through and then it just fizzles out. Always be always be a little bit mindful when the price action shifts on these kind of things, where you have a breakout and then you kind of test it through and then you dump it hard. This it wasn't a crazy dump, but 2 points on $15 stock is a decent sized dump. And so now what's happening is like you're gapping up into the middle of the range. I mean, that's the worst spot to be in, right? So you want to kind of keep that, a little bit, on the back burner, I think. I always have these on the watch list right now because they're trending, but I'd really rather see these things set up again than before I just come in balls deep on this. Now, Soxel here, something to be mindful of the semiconductor index, the Soxel, you're touching the top of the Bollinger Band. You've come a long way the last few days. Like this is, and you're kind of right into this resistance spot. So be careful today on the semis. You can see here, this is SMH. Be careful today on the semis. Like this is to me, a one more thrust through, and then you're right into resistance here. Long term, of course, these things look great still, but on a short term basis, if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days where you're running into that spot, dude, I mean, you're gonna be having yourself a little hoot and nanny here. So I gotta set an alert here right around 278. I think we start looking maybe for, if we push into that today and we just kind of spike up into that, I actually think that we try to go in for a little bit of a shorty McGee just for a day trade, maybe, a day and a half or give or take, because that's a little extended. I'd probably just play Soxel myself. Yeah. Soxel does so much volume. It's probably a little bit better. You can see 91 stochastics right into the resistance spot, and you got a gap up today. That's a good sign of things. So we'll kind of keep an eye on this. I'd keep this, on one of your main layout windows. That way, if the signal comes in, dude, then we can come in and shred this. Even the options on this actually trade fairly fairly liquid. You can see here 2000, 2000, 2000. So you can even trade some options on this thing and get yourself a little quesos. A little quesos. Yo, Sammy boy, Samka, what's up? How you doing? How you doing? Let me check out here. You want to fade NNE? Oh, so this is an offering. 630 compared to one share of stock. About 10% of the float, give or take. I wouldn't, I'd see how this thing gets absorbed. I mean, it's the right time to do an offering. You'd be stupid not to do an offering. Frankly, if I was them, pounded, I would have pounded the ATM a little bit harder, right? And try to get and give myself a little bonus. Give myself a little bonus. That would have been a lot easier. But you can, yeah, I put it on the watch list. If this fades off, you never know. Maybe SMR will go with it. You can see these have kind of been. This one trades a little bit thicker, but they've been running, in tandem for the most part. This one's just got a lot higher float, so you're not getting that pure heat that NNE did. You might let's add these for a second. I didn't think the offering is that big, but you never know. You never know. All right. Hold on here. Where were we? Hey, buddy. Oh, are you fresh? Aw. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, DJT junk, junk, junk. See all these crypto stocks, these mid-level ones. Too many days in a row. Like these are good longer term breakouts, but when you get like this much extension, like you need a breather. Pretty much all the hot stocks need a breather right now, and then all the turds are just sitting around here. So if you see here, right, you have this Apple's just cruising up here. So you have like this kind of tension that's happening on some of these that we need to resolve. You see this Google, no breaks on some of these things. I think Google actually looks okay for today. We'll have to be a little bit mindful. Sammy, what's up? You didn't notice what? We're offering? All right, let's take a look on the downside, see what we've got here. See if we got any good shorts. Oh, look at this bad boy. What we got over here? Helen of Troy, nice name. Fiscal adjusted earnings, revenue falls lower, guidance, blah, blah, blah. This stock trades a little bit. This is the key level breakdown, actually. It does trade a little bit thin. I don't know how much liquidity it does on this thing. Normally it's got enough today, but normally, like yesterday, is 500,000 shares. The day before, 200,000 shares. So this is like, when you see something like this, and then the SSR will be on it. So you got kind of two things going on it. It's like, all right, yeah, you got a big breakdown, but it's thin, and you got the SSR on it. So you end up in this like kind of big shit house of trading some thin little noodle. I think we could do better. What do you think? Yeah, I think we can do a little bit better. So let's douse this bad boy. Yeah, we need something hotter. Cost. This is a bleeder. You see this thing back at $3. Junk, junk. Ooh, oh, BP here. BP sees lower profit from oil mining. Stefano, you're back. Dude, didn't even know that. It's good to see you, buddy. No, this stock just it does not have the ATR. So normally it's ATR is 50 cents. That's a nasty little sweet spot. When you got an ATR that's just got 50 cents on it, like, dude, you've got nowhere to go. And then, most of the moves are on gaps anyways on this. Like, that's not really my particular cup of tea. Pass. Stefano, you dirty dog. Chewy's a slut. This ANVS is probably, I'd say one more push into the 20 spot and you can fade it off. But dude, these things are trading so thin, not my kind of stress. Junk, 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 junk. All right. Well, let's go into the kind of regular old watch list. On the earnings side, there's not. On the news side, beyond this Curie, I'm not really seeing that much. Damn, this thing is already moving pretty good. Fucker just jammed into the 200, huh? We'll see. This is probably the only one I'm seeing here that's worth any kind of look. Gin Bunny. Gin Bunny, what are you watching? You've been working hard. All right, let's get into this. Dell. Dude, you got a little bit of a makeshift breakout over here. This is the worst kind of trend line to draw because it's like it's a little bit wide, it's a little bit steep. But I'll say something on this is that once the earnings happen, you've been just sitting there hugging on this 50-day moving average for a period of time. You see how you tried to break under and then it just remounted back, right? And then you tried to break under and it kind of remounted back. And you tried to break under and you remounted back. And so there is a certain level of demand that's coming in at this 50-day moving average, right? They are defending this like no other. So you have this level, and it's been getting defended this whole time. And so every time it looks like it could break down, it hasn't, right? And so that in itself is a sign of bullishness. So what you have here now is like this tightening of the range. So we had this like kind of 3 day pop that went from 130, so it moves pretty good, right? 130 and 160, and then it came back down. And now you're kind of testing out this top of the range again as it gets a little bit tighter, right? And you started to congeal this range and you can really build it into something. So I think we got a chance on this. Now, the only reason I would not be too crazy on the heat on this is that, the Q's is a little bit long in the tooth, right? And so we do got to be like, obviously, if this dumps off, then this fades off. And so you're gonna have yourself just a little bit of there's a sweet spot here on where we can play it, but the big hairy Indian butt is that the market needs to pull, and so till we get that, we may have to be a little bit cautious on this. But man, the trading action on this was really good, and this is how you want to see stocks move. You thrust up in the morning, you pull back into the EMAs, you thrust up, pull back into the EMAs. Like you want to see that kind of ebb and flow on these things. That's that's the sweet spot. That's the holy grail when they move like that. That's what you're always looking for. So let's keep this on the watch list. Hopefully we don't have to chase it up while the market gets all extended. That'd be a little bit of no. VST, this one me gusta, right? So after this big trend, you've just swooshed this thing off, right? And kind of you'd this thing out, and you finally built out enough of a range and kind of healed this. And we're starting to test the top of it here. If we can start to kind of close over this, it might need one more sideways. But if you start to kind of close over this, we could see this thing start to ramp its way back right into 100 spot or something along that end. It's got a good solid look to it. So let's add this to the watch list. The ATR, and it's pretty good, 4.54%. Yeah, I'm liking it. Now, the issue on this, it's not thin per se. It does 5 million shares a day, but it trades a little thin, meaning like it's got liquidity. It's got a little bit of a spread on it. It makes you think it's a little bit of a lower float stock than it is, but it is 200 million share float, so it is fairly low. AVGL, the split is on, what's the split on Friday? Yeah, so this one, you may get a little rampy McGee. You may get a little rampy McGee for the next couple days. You're taking out this range right here, and you got still some upside on this. Did awesome move post earnings dip, guys. If you are a swing trader, by the way, the number one, setup that you can do, the number one setup you can do is, look for these stocks that are breaking out post earnings and then let them fizzle out for a handful of days. A majority of them will do this, right? And, like, so this is your earnings gap, and then it still runs for a couple days. And then let them fizzle out. At some point, right, people come in and take profits, and you'll just kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days of pullback. And, you start to see it hold somewhere. And usually, if it can come back into this bone zone, it's nice. And then you can kind of push this thing back, through. Like that is, I mean, that's your classic earnings breakout setup. In this current earnings season, I would be on the hunt for any stock that is doing that, right? Any stock that's having these kind of like big moves and breaking a base, usually 2, 3 months of base is more than enough. If you can clear out a base on earnings, that first dip is like, that's the money shot. If you're going to do one setup as a swing trader or even as a day trader, for the rest of your life, that's the setup. Like that's the choice one right there, because there's very rarely failures in that one. Kava, I had this on the watch list. It looked great for a second, and then it dumped off. And so this is another one. I'm a little bit wary of. But there is like something that's been happening of recent. where they break the first time they break, they dump off, and then the second one goes. And so I do not like when they fail off at the resistance like this. Like it's usually not a good sign. And it faded off pretty hard, right? Like 5 points from the top to bottom. So we'll have to be mindful. It may need a little bit of a deeper pullback before it can take this off. I thought yesterday would have been the day to do it. The market was strong, and you had the clear level. Sometimes though, if too many people are watching a name, you'll get this kind of action too, right? So you got, everybody and their uncle is watching this thing. And so you end up with a little bit of, did you end up with a little bit of something, something, right? That just can't, hold through. Now, so they, when these things kind of like flush out like that, and you rebound it back and break out, then we'll see. So it's like a flush out candle setup. We see that a lot on the remount. So I'm gonna, I'm still keeping on the watch list just to see if it just kind of kicks out. But let's see how it reacts today. Now, on the other side of things, all right. On the other side of things, we've got a couple things going. All right. So Reddit. You've got the all-time high breakout here. Let's call this 75. All right. You tried to bust it through over here, but see the distance between price and 9 EMA was too loose. So you had the pattern itself was just not tight enough, right? It hadn't congealed enough. So now you got a 1 rest day, 2 rest days, and see how the 9 EMA, it was down here. Now it's moved up about $2.50, $3. It's looking a lot better, right? So now we're starting to congeal this. Maybe needs one more sideways day, but not necessarily. It may need one more sideways day, but not necessarily. I wanna hit this thing if it comes in. Like IPO breakouts, they've been working right now. They've been working all year. That's still a hot setup. Palantir, right? Palantir's got a big breakout over here at 27.50. It's already popped through. I won't chase this up now because it's up 4 green days. But look, if the market dumps off today a little bit, or if the stock itself dumps out, watch for any kind of flush out. Like yesterday, for example, is like a picture perfect one. Yeah, it just dumps off right into support here, and then you kind of grind it back. This is like the sign of a hot market, guys. When you get these gaps up and they just dump off like that in a different type of market, what would we be doing? Well, in a different type of market, we would be shorting, right? But in this market, like those setups, we end up buying. And so there's something to be mindful of, all right? Something to be mindful of as you go through this. That's the kind of, I want to see this kind of kick out again, right? So if we get a little pull in the market and this thing dumps off a buck or two, like that's where we want to try to snag this one. American Superconductor Company, right? So you got a flat top breakout, 1 test, 2 tests, 3 tests. Dude, had a nice power candle through. You got a pretty flat open on this one, dude. The trend on this was awesome. It's only 28 million share float, so you tend to get some pretty good trends on this bad boy. Dude, I like the overall look of this. Let's get a little shred on this. Any kind of pull on this one, I'm a buyer. Hey, Etsy, Joy put this one on her watch list yesterday. I missed it, but 1 test, 2 tests, 3rd test of resistance. Nasty little down day on this yesterday. Man, look at this thing. Like, that's about as picture perfect as you could go. So you got nasty. This one and Nike are 2 nasty McGee's. They really. This one is, and this is how you want to see it act, right? It's like you got the green to red, then you get the flush out, pops all into the EMAs. All of this type of stuff gets faded off. I love it, right? This is like if we need a short, this one's got all the juice. And you got a flat open on this one. It had 6 million shares in volume yesterday. So we got more than enough volume on this bad boy. I think this one and Nike, those are going to be the two spots. This one and Nike are going to be the two spots to get the quesos. Snapchat, one test, two tests, three tests. Very similar to Palantir. It also moves similar to Palantir. It's a it's a little bit of a snail train. If you look back, this is a little bit of a longer chart. This is a weekly chart. And you can see here, right? You just coalescing. So it's from 2022. So you're going sideways, 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 and you're right into this thing. We're right there. I mean, that's about, on the weekly chart, it's actually pretty tight, right? You got risk down to here. On the daily chart, it's a little bit of a still grindy McGee. You're getting there. It won't take much to break this thing out. It's right at 17. For me, I would say that this is probably a better off is more of a swing trade than a day trade in that like it's got a 4% ATR, right? So like it moves okay on a 4% on a percentage basis, but the ATR is 60 cents, right? In terms of dollar terms. That's just when you get that kind of ATR, you just don't get the heat that you need usually. Yeah, it's got a spot though. I think you swing that if it breaks through. Etsy we covered. Hey, Lulu, very similar look to Etsy. One test, two tests, three tests, four tests of support. So you've got yourself a nasty, nasty little level right here. Let's see if we can shake down into this. You got a flat open. Dude, if this thing breaks down, then you've got some significant downside. You're starting to clear out some nasty levels on this thing. If you go back, look at how long this support's been holding, right? So, the bigger one's kind of more around 290, but it's all a zone, right? You can't, when you think of support resistance, like, they're never exact spots, right? It's more of a zone of love. And so, what we want to be doing is really being mindful of, the location here. But we got a bear flag here at 293. That takes you to 290, and then if that cracks, you're donezo. You're donezo. Whew. And for moral reasons, obviously, we should short this Lululemon anyways, right, baby? My wife is always talking trash about girls that wear Lululemon.
Oh, not true.
Her name is Miranda Desai. If you ever want to have an
Not true.
intense conversation about women that wear Lululemon, every time she sees a girl wear Lululemon, she's like, "Oh my gosh, what's this girl trying to hide?"
Lies.
This is what I have to live with every day. All so much judgment for just a little lady wanting to wear Lululemon. That's all. I'm not projecting. I'm not a believer in casual wear. I'm just not. I'm a gentleman. Athletic leisure is not my thing. I'm a specimen, a little physical marvel. Like I don't need to wear athletic leisure for people to know I'm a walking athlete. Like a walking athlete. That's right. When I walk down the street, everybody's like, damn, that guy's an athlete. Like, I don't have to wear athletic leisure to show people that. It's just, that's just how I am. It's my walk. Listen, I can sprint, baby.
You're a walking athlete.
I'm a walking athlete, yes. Now, see, this is what I have to live with. I mean, I do stuff. Lift 100 pounds over my head. Now, let's add this bad boy in 293. Oof. That might be top of the list if we lose this thing. Now, my worry on this is what? Well, the worry on this is that it trades a little thin, right? And so when you have something, when you get something like this, it did 2 million, 1.5 million shares, and it's a little bit expensive. So when you have something that's a little bit pricier and then it does very, very little volume, you're going to have a spread on it, a little hairy spread. We do got to be just kind of careful on that. I don't want to come in too hot, something that doesn't have the liquidity we need. But I love the look. If it can break and hold, you never know, right? Sometimes these things do it, but similar playbook that Etsy here, right? You got the level, then right, let it roll, and then you can start hitting the pops into the EMAs and all this kind of fun stuff. Let it go, let it go. All right, 294. This one. Yeah, we do it. Reddit, we got Snap, we got. You know what? I put this ULS on watch for an IPO breakout. It might be too thin. I'm thinking I would take it off. It did. It did 1 million shares yesterday. It's an awesome setup to be. It's an awesome setup. But the big hairy Indian butt on this is that it is trade a little bit thin. Nobody's ever heard of it, which is fine. Those are usually the best ones. I'll keep an eye on this on the sidelines. I don't think we need to make this a focus just because of the liquidity. These days. So, I was just talking to somebody about this. In the old days, oof, that makes me sound like a geezer, right? But, even 10, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 11 years ago, dude, if a stock did 500, 600,000 shares a day in volume, it still was tradable. Man, if you did 1 million shares, like, you're getting out in and out pretty easy. Nowadays, stock has 1 million shares in volume, like it's like, downright untradeable. So just something to kind of keep into the back of your head. LNG, you got a high type flag on this one, 155 to 175. I put this on the watch list too, because you had that what's it in old Houston, right? In Houston, they had a little cane coming their way. Sometimes these kind of things can get a little bit wild on those days. It looks like it was a little bit of a muted hurricane. Praise the Lord. But you know, but we got a setup right there. So let's add this to the watch list. Shop. I think this is one of the top ones if we can get it. This specific pattern has been working nonstop, and now you're starting to tighten up. See, this was another one that got kind of kicked out and then remounted. You got some inside days here. That's a good looker right there. What you think? Yeah, I agree. That's a good looker right there. Yeah, let's add that. That's top of the list. VST we covered. Crowd also failed breakout yesterday. Oof, look at the wicks on this too. This is what I mean by like the illiquidity. Crowd does a lot of volume for the most part. It don't look like here, but it does enough volume here. 3-4 million shares, but illiquid. This thing up into resistance and then they just rug it back down. I mean, that's like you get smoked out on something like that. So I'm a little bit wary on some of these ones that are trading a little bit thin. And my own stats, like, if you go through any of your journals or whatever, my own stats tell me that, frankly, that I do a lot better when I'm trading stuff that's got like 5, 10, 15 million shares. That's usually the sweet spot for me. So, guys, let's go do what we do, which is the do. Obviously, we got all these, our daily traders like AMD and all this kind of stuff. Probably, I'm thinking we stay away from the semis. We let them blow out a little bit, and then we try to take a short in this Soxel, and we'll go and do what we got to do. All right, guys. Chat room. I'm hopping into Discord right now. I'm going to have to change the link. For some reason, it doesn't let me do all of these at once. All right, let's go have some fun.